because he's a spark. He came up the stairs, got the light, got the ladder up to the fuse box, up to the consumer unit, went into the consumer unit, and he said, Rick, none of your lights have gone. None of the fuses have blown. He said, there must be a wire or a bit of that, or whatever. And he went right through the building that night, and there was power to the switch. There's a spark up there, Alan lost him. There was power to the switch, power to that. We couldn't understand this, and we never, ever got to the bottom. But what we had to do was rewire the whole of the top floor to get the lights right. So I then asked David to come down. David came down and had a dreadful experience. Well, I mean, when I'm saying dreadful, it mightn't be dreadful, it was dreadful to me. Because when he come down, I said, was there anything there? And he said, yeah, there is. And I always thought that ghosts were defrocked vicars from the 18th century, or nuns that had been caught doing other things than their holy duties. And he said, no, he said, there's a tall Irish guy, which was exactly what Chloe had told me, which he didn't know anything about, and a young guy who'd committed a murder and had then committed suicide. But that in itself was fascinating for me. But more important was Diane, who's sitting there, walked into the room as David Drew was in the room. She'd never met him, he'd never met her, and he walked past, and I said, David, this is Diane. Diane, he said hello, and he said, sorry to hear about your troubles, your tummy trouble, but don't worry, and she said, I haven't got any tummy trouble. I haven't got any tummy trouble. And he said, oh, sorry, but okay, yeah. Diane has since learned that she's got to have laser treatment later this year on a complaint to her tummy. Now, this is not made up. I am not a Tom Pepper. 90% of the people in this room know me, and I hope, for God's sake, trust me. I trust implicitly this man who's going to get up and speak. I don't know what he's going to do. He's just going to speak, but I am delighted to know him. Please give him a Liverpool welcome on my behalf. Meet David Drew, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to the people on the back seats, the cheaper seats. Ricky's got a louder voice than me, so I may have to use this. I don't know about picking up any messages from Spirit this evening, but I do know we are picking up loud and clear Radio Luxembourg. Ricky says, I don't know what's going to happen this evening. A few people this evening have come up to me and said, what's going to happen this evening? And I have to be honest and say, well, your guess is as good as mine. I am not a performer, unlike Ricky. I am not a comedian. Some people might disagree with that. All I know is, over the years, many people have said that I'm crazy. They still do. But when I tell people, can you remember your childhood? Many people say yes. I say, can you remember when you were a baby? That's not so clear. Can you remember the time in your mother's womb? No, you can't. Can you remember even further back than that? They say, what? I say, I remember my time in spirit before I was born. I remember looking down at the earth, rather like watching a football match. Mind you, people in Liverpool wouldn't know much about football. But having said that, when you are watching a football match, it all looks so easy, doesn't it? You say, pass the ball, shoot. What's the matter with you? And other things. I was like that. I was looking at the earth, seeing people being very misguided. People being lost, confused. They don't understand. So I said, let me go down there and show people how easy it is. Now that I'm here, I agree. It's not quite so easy. I've got a job to do, like you all have. Mind you, you're in Liverpool, you won't have. I've got a job to do, and that job is to talk to as many people as I possibly can throughout the world, and when that is over, I can go home to where I came from. I welcome this opportunity to come along and speak with you. This isn't, as you can see, what I do best. I prefer to sit upstairs on the 3rd floor in darkness, talking to those who have passed on before. You see, people are frightened of dying. People are frightened of death. And people say to me, "Oh, you have got a morbid job. All you do is talk about death." But I don't. I talk about life. I talk about this life and the life to come. And that it very much depends on how you live this life as to where you are going afterwards. A lot of people say to me, "You're very religious." Am I? A lot of people say, "You're a Christian." Am I? A lot of people say, "You're a medium, you're a clairvoyant, you're psychic." And a lot of people say other things that I wouldn't repeat. I don't call myself anything. I don't even call myself a medium. I hate the word psychic. The first time, I think I was about 8 or 9 years of age, someone said to me, "You're very psychic." I thought they meant, "You're crazy." I didn't know what the word meant. Why do we invent these words? Clairvoyant, psychic. I'm going to give you a new word tonight that a lot of you will not have heard of. Psychometry. Some of you may have heard of it. When I finish talking in the next 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to leave the room, and perhaps someone would be kind enough to bring me a pint of beer.
I think it was a beer.
Here on the table, people have been asking me this evening, "What are these little heart-shaped dishes for?" And I have jokingly said, "That's for the buffet." Because it's the only one you'll get tonight. When I leave the stage, I am going to ask you to put in, I sound like Jesse James now, I'm going to ask you to put your jewellery into these boxes. If you've got a ring, a bracelet, a necklace, or something else, preferably something that only belongs to you. It hasn't been owned by anybody else. It's not second-hand. It hasn't been passed down to you by someone else. It hasn't been used by someone else. A watch, a bracelet, a ring, they're always good things. Put it in the boxes. The reason I leave the room is I don't want to know who has put what in the box. And when I come back onto stage, as some of you will have noticed when I made my entrance this evening, I have brought with me my dinner suit, my jacket, my bow tie. And then I saw where I was on the clientele. And I thought, no, I won't bother with that. Because I know, and some of you may have heard me on radio or television, I upset a lot of people. I do. I especially upset what I call so-called clairvoyance. I will never ever use crystal balls, tea leaves, palms, bumps on the head, read the feet, read the sun. Some people will read anything. I don't. I have a very simple philosophy. If you are truly psychic, you don't need these props. And if you are not, then you damn well shouldn't be doing psychic readings, which can be important to people. I met a lady not many months ago who came to see me privately, and she said to me, I went last year to see a clairvoyant who read my tarot cards. And this lady turned over the cards and she said to me, you're going away overseas on a long holiday. And she was. That following week, she was going to Spain. She had saved up, she hadn't had a holiday for 10 years. And she and her husband were going, so she thought, this is incredible. The lady carried on turning the cards, and she said, and this is a true story I'm telling you, whilst you are there, your husband will die of a heart attack. And when you come back, well, she said to me, whatever else was said, I didn't hear. My husband's going to die of a heart attack. She said, I didn't tell him. Of course, we went on this holiday. Every morning, I know it sounds funny, she said I was pushing him. See if he was okay. Well, she said, of course, I had the most dreadful holiday. And of course he was okay. And he's still okay as far as I know. He's not talking to me. That's ruined, spoilt that lady's holiday through going to see someone who had bought a book in the library, How to Read the Tarot Cards, and now she advertises every night in the paper, clairvoyance. She's no more clairvoyant than my budgie, and I haven't got one. I say to people, what I say to you may not make any sense. If it doesn't, I'm ever so sorry, but I can't change it. If you want me to say, if you want to hear that you are going away on a nice long holiday, one day you will live in a white bungalow by the sea. You will meet a tall, dark, handsome stranger. You will never ever want for anything. Riches and money will always be yours. Then there's a very good lady on Blackpool Promenade who will say that for you. I won't. Very often I have said to people, I don't like what I see with you. I see impending disaster with you, unless you listen to the words of Spirit and allow me to advise you to change direction. That's the only way I work. I work in many different ways. I look at the aura around people, and I'm not going to spend the next half an hour explaining the aura around people. Suffice to say, if you've ever seen the Ready Break adverts where the little boy is going to school with this glow around them, that's how it looks. Okay, I am clairvoyance, but clairvoyance is the psychic gift of seeing. If I see someone in spirit, that's clairvoyance. If I see the aura, that's clairvoyance. If I hear from spirit, that's clairaudience. Aren't they clever words? And that's all they are. The whole of my life has been spent devoted to doing this work. I first stood up at a public meeting like this. Well, not like this. When I was 14 years of age. I'm now 35, so that was 21 years ago, I think. And this is all I do. I talk to people. I hope they listen. I know some people go away disappointed, and I don't like that. There's one thing I can promise you. I will be honest with you. One lady came to see me once, and I said, I've got your husband with you. His name's, I can't remember what it was now, I think it was Fred. And she said, well, you can tell him to bugger off. I said, well, let me just tell you what he has to say. She said, you needn't bloody bother. He never spoke to me when he was here. What is he I never know what's going to happen. I put myself in the hands of spirit. People call me a medium, and you can if you wish. But I am but a telephone operator to pass messages on from one world to the next. And sometimes, you know, your husband may go away on business to London. He may not phone you, and you're expecting it or hoping for a call. Is it any use shouting at the telephone and saying, why haven't you called? I am but the telephone. I will pass messages on. But if there's no one there to pass a message on from, or I am not capable of receiving that message, I cannot do it. I will not invent anything. I will be honest with you. I'm not going to bore you with my religious beliefs. because I have none. I know there is one God that we are all going to follow. Why the hell there is 1,001 religions in this world, I do not know. I have been called very religious. There is not a religion in this world I agree with. I have been called a Christian. There is not a Christian religion in this world I agree with. Because when I see Christians and other religions fighting each other, I despair. Because fighting in the name of Christianity is rather like bonking in the name of virginity. It should not be allowed. People in the world today are hell-bent on destroying God's garden. That's Earth. We spend more and more money on nuclear weapons to blow each other to smithereens, if we're going to use them. And those in favour of nuclear weapons say, well, we have had peace in Europe for 40 years by having nuclear weapons as a deterrent. What a load of rubbish. That is rather like saying I smoke 60 cigarettes a day and I have done for 40 years. I haven't got cancer. Rather like saying they've done me the world of good. I don't agree with a lot of things in this world today. If I did, I wouldn't be here. That is the reason I am here, to talk to people throughout the world, whoever will listen, and I'm glad that you are listening. I'm going to leave you now because I don't want to bore you. And believe me, I'm a Welshman, I can. I can talk for hours, because that's what I'm here to do. I don't want to see you getting cramp in your backsides. I do not want to see anyone nodding asleep, as what happened last time I was here. I forgot who that was now.
He's not here tonight.
Let me just explain the psychometry, because I hope that will be interesting for you. The first half is my half. I enjoy speaking with you. The second half is your half. Of course, I cannot speak to everyone in this room here tonight. I would like to. So what I do is I ask you to put your jewellery. Can I just tell you, I was working on the South Coast not long ago in a theatre, and I was explaining to people the story of what Jesus said. It is easier for a camel to pass through an eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom. I was explaining that if you are rich, you've got no chance. If you're poor like me, you've got every chance. And to me, that sounds very simple. And the people who objected, and there were those raising their fists with their gold rings and bangles and bracelets and dressed in fur coats. They didn't like what I had to say. So now I stay north of England in Liverpool. I'm safe. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here this evening for you. I promise I will do whatever I can to help you. And I know now already that we have been joined by a number of people in spirit. Do not expect to see any white sheets floating around and sounds going ooh, because I will be the first to run through that door. I don't like the word ghost. Isn't it awful? How would you like to pass over to spirit, and believe me you will, and be called a ghost? People in spirit are people. And believe me, they are the same people now as they always were. Maybe with a much greater understanding. Maybe they understand things better now that they haven't got to pay the rent, they haven't got to pay the gas bill and the electric bill, they haven't got the worries that they had whilst they were here. But apart from that, they are the same people now as they always were. Your mother, your father, your uncle, your grandfather, your son, your daughter. I know what it is like to lose someone close. I have lost both my mother and my father to a much happier world. My mother passed to spirit in 1979, September. In October of the same year, I was a delegate at the Labour Party conference and make no apologies for it. And in my hotel room, my mother sailed in through the window. That is just how it looked. And of course she looked at me and smiled and said, well, you know I'm happy now. Tell the rest of the family. And she disappeared. That was 11 years ago. And from that day to this, I've never seen her. People say that you're a medium. It must be wonderful. You can talk to the people who have gone, your family. The gifts, if you call them that I have, are for other people. The gifts, or whatever ability I may have, is for you. And I will use that ability to the best of my ability this evening. I'm going to leave the stage, and I'm going to ask you not to stampede, but to rather, in an organised fashion perhaps, place whatever you will. And my manager has got the fire exit open and the car running. And I will come back onto the stage, and what you will see me do is open any box at random, hold the item in my hand, and I will say what I am receiving through holding that item. Now, I will not know who I am talking to. That's why I am leaving the room. I do not want to know who I'm talking to. I hope it makes sense. But remember my opening remarks. If it doesn't, listen carefully. Take notes if you want to. Remember what I say. Because as Ricky said, I said to Diane, you've got a problem with the stomach. I'm sure some people think I make them ill. Because weeks later, there was a problem. All I am seeing is sometimes problems in advance. But I am a great believer that by seeing problems in advance, we can change things. I keep saying to people, do not keep looking backwards at what has gone, what might have been, what could have been. That's gone, and you cannot change the past. From tonight, I hope to be changing the minds, attitudes, and futures of as many people as I possibly can in the room here this evening. And one other thing, if any of you are suffering with any ailments this evening, you will be receiving the healing during the course of the evening. And there's one thing I know, because I'm psychic, that you will leave here tonight feeling so much better than when you came in. I know I will leave here tonight feeling so much better than when I came in, because I'm going to have another few pints of beer. When you place your item in the what would you call it, in the jar, dish, you will see there is a number. Take that number out with you. Hold on to it. Put it in your pocket. Because what I will do is pick up an item and say, I have got number 17 here in my hand. So that you know who I'm talking to, but I don't. Also, during the course of the evening, because I don't know what's going to happen, I may disregard this and just look at people and tell you what I see. Either way, I hope we're in for an enjoyable half hour together. Thank you.
Can I have white sugar? And then like everyone else asked like what was on the menu and he goes, "We're gonna be ice cream." I was like, "No, I can't kill you."
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure, I think everyone's sat down. I'm sure some of you were quite, well, I hope they were as thrilled as I was, because David's approach is so different. And I love that little bit of Mickey taking. And I love the way, the likes of myself, he has introduced me into whatever it is that's going on without making it so weird and mysterious and frightening. And I think that's the word, frightening. I really enjoy listening to him. I've had the pleasure of speaking to him away from when everyone's been in the room, when we stood at this bar, just half a dozen of us, into the early hours of the morning, and he's told me things that have really happened to him in the work that he does. But I'm delighted you've given him the reception that you've given him, and I'm sure it's helped him to do what he's doing tonight. Welcome again on stage, please. David Drew, ladies and gentlemen.
Now what do we do? It will take me probably 5 minutes, bear with me, before I can start doing the psychometry. And then please remember that whatever I give, I can only hope it makes sense. I was just thinking earlier, someone commented about what I said about nuclear weapons. I am fortunate in being given a platform to speak my views. Many people do not have that platform. But this business of having nuclear weapons to keep the peace, does it make any sense? Rather like walking the streets of Liverpool of a night, carrying a hand grenade in case you're mugged. The mugger will know that it will blow your boat to smithereens, so why do we have them? And I was just thinking also that I'm glad in a way, and I hope this doesn't sound wrong, that it is Diane that's got the tummy problem and not Ricky, because if it was Ricky, that would be one hell of a big problem. I'm now going to try and do a little psychometry and probably mix it with a little clairvoyance. If I come to you, I've got this awful habit of pointing at you. And my mother always told me it was very bad manners to point at people. But I don't know your names and I don't know any other way of doing it. But I do have this complex about pointing at people. But if I do point at you, forgive me for that. It means I want to speak to you. If what I say isn't making sense, but it does to the person sat next to you, help me out. I do sometimes get a crosswire. Don't tell me who this belongs to. I don't want to know. I'd rather not look at you. I'd rather not look at you anytime. But especially whilst I'm doing this. I've got number 15 in my hand. And hopefully in the next minute or two, I can pick something up from it. I have to say, first of all, whoever this is, listen carefully. I've got problems with my eyes. I don't know what it is, but perhaps this is a good start, because I said I didn't want to see you. Perhaps it's judgment on me from above. I've got problems with my eyes, and the wearer of this ring too has problems with the eyes. Apart from that, they're the most lovely, happy, peaceful person you could probably ever wish to meet. I'm looking forward to finishing with this and saying hello and perhaps shaking hands with this person, because they are warm they spread that love, joy, peace and happiness I was talking about earlier. But they do have problems themselves. Isn't it usually the way that those with problems themselves help so many other people through their example? And this is one such person. I'm picking up the number 7. I'm not sure if that's possibly a date, the 7th, which is important, significant, perhaps a birthday. Talking about a birthday, and separate to what I've just said, there is a birthday in the family coming up in the next few weeks, and a small celebration. I don't think on any grand scale, but in the house setting with a dozen people or so. We are not now in touch with spirit, but the plumber. This lady, God, I hope this is a lady, or I will look a fool, not for the first time. I'm also picking up the month of May as being very, very significant. And I am seeing changes, how do I word this? Not so much with me, but people around me. There's some coming and going or moving of house, but I don't think I'm moving. I talk in the tense of the person wearing the ring. I don't think I'm moving, but there's some movement with people around me. People tend to come to me. I'm talking about the owner of this. You'll understand as the evening goes on how I speak. People tend to come to me with their problems. Hell, I've got problems of my own, I sometimes say. But I love to meet people, to talk to people, but preferably on a one-to-one. I don't necessarily like crowds. Perhaps the person here this evening who wears this ring is feeling maybe uncomfortable because there's a number of people in the room. Or although they do love people, they prefer just to talk on a one-to-one. Who owns this ring, please? I like it that you said, I'm right. I like it that you said, I'm right. Please, if I am right, shout loud and clear. If I'm wrong, keep it to yourself. Okay, I've got in my hand number 2. This person has what I would call a dry sense of humour. Perhaps other people don't always necessarily understand me, and at the moment there is a lot of confusion. That's the word I want to use, I think, confusion in my life. There is upset or I can't think of a better word, let me use the word upset, regarding a close friendship or relationship. And I've got to make a decision. Really, I think there could be an argument, a clearing of the air. I think there needs to be. You have been taken for granted for too long, and I'm wondering if the partner of the person is here. I hope they're not. Because I'm not happy with the partner. They are being very selfish. I see changes, and I hope I'm not exaggerating when I say that whoever wears this number 2 between now and the end of this year, okay, that's just by the way of, there's someone in the spirit connected with this ring called Joe or Joey, Joe, it's the same thing, isn't it? Joey, that I'm just picking up. What was I saying then before you so rudely interrupted me? You see this? Oh, you can't, can you? Oh, perhaps some of you can. This guy standing here, connected with the owner of this ring. There is going to be changes. Between now and the end of this year, you will be living somewhere different, working somewhere different, with different people, a new circle of friends. And that sounds like too many changes in too short a time. But it is going to happen, and changes have to be made. You know changes have to be made. I'm also picking up the ringing of a bell. Perhaps you ride a bicycle. It's things like that you could do without. Not the bicycle, the bell. But also I am picking up, have I got a sister or a close friend? I think it's a sister. Now, health-wise, with the person who wears this ring, I'm quite happy. There's no major problem. But there is a medical problem with someone close, and I think it's a sister. If I'm wrong on that, it must be a close friend. It's a female that I've got here. I'm hearing the name Sharon, not in spirit, but here. I use sign language. If I'm here, I'm on earth. If I'm over here, I'm in spirit. But I've got Sharon being called and some complications with this girl. I'm also seeing the number 2 on the front door of a house. I don't know if it's the house you live, but it certainly is a house that you will be going into very soon. Perhaps the house you're moving to, number 2. There could also be something to do with legal dealings, a solicitor or documents that I'm picking up here with number 2. Who's this, please?
And the girl shouting is my niece. Got a hair in the cleft palate, yeah.
Oh, right. What the hell have I got here? That's a shoelace here. Number 33. Someone's given me their shoelace. Let's see what we can do. I'm picking up this dreadful smell. And someone walking like this. Okay, all right. Okay, the shoelace is black. Now please, you'll have to bear with me here. I'm not very good at shoelaces. But I am picking up this depression. I don't know what it is. You know when you sometimes feel I'm not happy, but I don't necessarily know why. I can't put my finger on it. I'm feeling low. I'm feeling, is this what life is all about? There must be something more, there must be something better. I feel as if I'm in a rut or I'm in a maze and I've got to work my way out of it. I feel that I really don't know what I want and I don't know which way to go, and perhaps I'm in need of advice. but whoever owns, everybody owns a lace. Whoever owns this lace is probably the last person to seek advice of others, but the first person to give advice to others. And I don't mean that detrimentally. I mean, listen. I want to say listen to advice from those around you. Sometimes they talk sense. I feel that you could be wearing blinkers like a horse. You're not looking left and right. You're missing opportunities. You've just had a letter in the post today, yesterday perhaps. I wish I hadn't picked this up. That makes me feel even worse. Perhaps it's the poll tax. I've got something in the post that's made me feel I'm not happy. And also, I'm writing letters. I feel I might be applying for jobs, I'm not sure, but I'm sending letters out, hoping for a favourable reply. I'm not very good at laces, but I have to say that I'm not happy with the situation that this person is in at the moment, and there is going to have to be changes, and I hope you can instigate changes, because I don't want to see you in 6 months' time still in this same position, and you could be, unless you take action, and action is needed now. Who owns this lace?
You're not very happy, no? You're not going to. Come up to formal you. All right.
I've got number 1. I feel, let me just have a minute because I want to try and word this the best way I can. Am I allowed to say that I can say anything all right about that? I feel that I need to lose weight. I feel too, and this is not Diane, that there is a problem here. Too much food. No, I feel spiritual, and that's good. I am more spiritual than material. I sometimes feel that I am not part of this world, and that's good. I have got a very good imagination, and in the quiet of my own home, alone, I can be anywhere, doing anything. I want to say you can be anywhere, doing what you want to do. Do not imagine, do not fantasize, do not dream, but do it, and you can. You may be lacking a little in confidence. I understand this all too well. But I see that the possibilities are endless. I feel I don't know if that's, I've got a name that sounds like Karen. Karen, is it Karen or Carol? Karen. I don't know, I'm not picking that up very well. It sounds like Carol or Carol that I'm just getting come to me here. And I want to say too, it must be a common denominator with people in Liverpool. You all want to change everything. And again, I've got change, and changes will be. You're signing something very soon. It looks official. It's a form or a document. You're putting your signature to and rather throwing the pen down and breathing a sigh of relief. Thank goodness for that. This will be good. You've got a link with either America or Canada. My geography isn't very good, but I'm going across the Atlantic, and I see a link with America or Canada. I'm also now, I don't know whether I'm a secretary or what, but I've got a typewriter and I'm scribbling that you know, that funny, what you call it, shorthand. Could be connected, I don't know, but I've got the typewriter and shorthand and a filing cabinet and all this around me as I speak. Perhaps I'm making plans to go to America. That would be a good place to go. Again, I do want to say, and I don't mean to sound awful, you perhaps need a push, a kick up the backside, because you can do it, and I feel angry and I feel frustrated. The owner, the wearer of this ring very often gets this awful sort of frustrated feeling that there's so much you want to do, but you're not doing it. I can help you, but I can't do it for you. You've got to get up and do it, and you can. I think your future does not lie in this country, or at the very least, you will spend many months out of this country. I'm picking up the number 9. Could be a date again, the 9th, I'm not sure. And I've got the Christmas time, not many years ago, where there was a passing. Someone passed a spirit around the Christmas time. It must have been a very upsetting Christmas. I'm picking up a lady in spirit. I'm not sure if it's Maggie or Mary. Maggie, I think, in spirit. And I'm also picking up, I've just got the initial, if I'm honest, initial T that seems to be important. There's a warning triangle, and I don't like warning triangles, connected with someone around you at the moment who is trying to interfere in your personal life. Who is this? I forgot what number it was. Belongs to. Am I okay? Can I carry on? I'm just beginning to enjoy myself now. The reason I rub my hands over them is I sometimes pick up feelings or conditions connected. I can't see what's here, so we'll have this one here. I've got number 37, and I'm going to put it to one side for a minute, so whoever owns 37 will have to hang on a bit longer. Because I want to come to this table here, just for a minute. The lady in black, excuse me calling you the lady in black, and the gentleman behind, are you connected? Do you know someone called Lorraine?
That's me.
Oh, you're Lorraine? I was going to say, there's a problem. Must be another Lorraine. Do you know someone called Jimmy? Now, I'm talking living now, not in spirit. You know someone called Jimmy? Is he a problem? I've got Lorraine and I've got Jimmy, and I've got some kind of confusion between the two, or lack of communication or lack of understanding, and I have to be honest and say I don't know what this is I'm picking up. But you're Lorraine, okay, someone was calling Lorraine, and that's a good start, isn't it? That's you. Have you been speaking with someone called Jimmy on the telephone? And I'm talking the last day or two, really, just later. I'm not with the gentleman behind them. Have you been speaking with someone called Jim or Jimmy on the telly? Yes. All right, you're Lorraine, you're out of it for a minute. I just want to get this right, and I get angry if I can't get it right. But I've got a telephone conversation that's making me feel angry, and I don't know why. As if they're not telling me the truth, or they're saying they're not in when they are. I don't know what it is. Do you understand this? Yeah. As long as you understand, that's the main thing. Because I don't. I haven't got a clue what I'm talking about. But I have got. Have you got a daughter? All right. I'm wrong. You have not got a daughter. I was going to say, are you sure? But you would know whether you I'm picking up a girl who only looks, I'm not very good at ages, bear with me, late teens, maybe, 12 to 14, no sorry, that's early teens, 12 to 14, this kind of age group, but bear with me with ages. When I've got some upset or confusion or worry with her. But if you don't know who it is, I don't know what to say for the best. Because I want to say that you need to help her or advise her. Do you understand this? Yeah. I'm really glad you do. Because I'm sorry it's not clearer than it is. But that's what I'm picking up with you. I'll go back to what number was it? Can anybody remind me what number this was? 37. 30 what? 37. Now, this feels good, but there's always a but, isn't there? The wearer of this ring is very independent, some may say stubborn. I hope you will forgive me for saying that. You are single-minded, you are determined, but you have to be so very careful of family, friends around you who are trying their hardest to dissuade you or influence you, and I don't want you to be influenced. The wearer of this ring, I would say, is impossible to live with. But that's me. I would say that you could well have problems in a relationship. I hope you haven't. And I don't feel anything major. But I wouldn't perhaps like to be your husband. Perhaps you wouldn't like me to be your husband. But I feel that you are too independent. You want to do your own thing, and perhaps he's not happy with it. I'm picking up a problem with either the feet or the ankles. Walking, I've got a problem. I think it's my ankles. The back of my leg at the bottom here seems to tire. In fact, the left foot or the left leg can sometimes sort of give way on me as I'm walking along. This needs attention. It really does need attention, this left, what did I say, leg. Forgive me, sometimes I'm in a world of my own. I have to remember that you're here. I've got I think it's a 21st party coming up soon. Not that you're 21. I don't think you'll see 21 again. But there is a 21st birthday party coming up very, very soon that you will be attending. You might even be helping with the arrangements. And this will be this year. There's also a busy year for you with celebrations, because there's also at least one wedding, and it could be July, August. It is summer wedding when the hot weather is here, July, August. I've got a problem with either breathing or a cold, bronchitis. I don't know. I've got something on my chest here that's giving me problems. And you may suffer with hay fever in the summer. I'm not sure. When the sun comes out, I've got streaming eyes. That needs to be seen to. I'm sure something can be done. I'm looking forward to something, but then again, I'm always looking forward to something, says the owner of this ring. It's as if I'm not happy today, but tomorrow will be brighter. I am forever an optimist, and that is a good attitude to take with life. Never mind, tomorrow will be better, next month will be better. And if it isn't, you don't, as a rule, allow things to get you down. I've got a lady in spirit called either BT or Betty, I'm not quite sure whether it's BT or Betty, connected with you. And I've got a gentleman in spirit with an initial T. T, I think it is a T, but I can't get the name. Who does this belong to, please? I'm sorry I'm going so fast. Oh, sorry. There you are. I'm sorry I'm going so fast. I'm trying to get through a few. Can I do another one too? Am I right? Is everyone out there? Okay, I've got number 29 in my hand, but I was looking for another one in another pot because I've got a connection with two of you. And it would have been nice to get one in each hand, perhaps. No, that would confuse me even more. But number 29, I like the feel of it. That's good. In fact, this is probably the best one I've picked up tonight because I keep picking up problems with people. This number 29 has got a hell of a lot of problems with people around her, but she hasn't, and that's, is it a she? She hasn't, and that's good. But she does rather tend to attract other people's problems. She does rather tend to attract, can I say, the wrong sorts sometimes. That's not always a bad thing because you can help other people. Health-wise, I'm fit, I'm well, I'm quite happy with my lot. We all of us make plans and ambitions, and I'm sure this is no exception. But in myself, I'm quite happy. One minor small problem might be a throat or a mouth throat. Perhaps you smoke too much, I don't know. But I've got a little problem with the throat, but that's nothing at all to worry about. Other than that, you are quite healthy. I'm picking up someone called John connected with you, and I'm picking up also in spirit another John, but the John in spirit was called Jack. Jack was what he was called. So there is a John here connected and a Jack in spirit. There's a lady in spirit who suffered with now I don't know, some kind of a wasting illness or wasting disease. I lost a lot of weight. I went down, down, down before passing over. It could be cancer of the stomach or the chest. But I've got something here that was the problem with a lady that was very, very close. I don't think this is her ring, but there was a ring connected with a lady in spirit that you may well have. Who does this belong to, please? Okay.
That was your nan with the stomach.
That's your nan with the stomach. Have you got her ring? You've got her ring. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to carry on for another hour and a half. You will either give me a break and I'll do a bit more, or that's the end of the evening.
Have a break.
Because I can't carry on. I can't carry on anymore. It's no good me saying I can. The psychometry does rather drain me, and I am drained. Thank you for your kind attention. Good night, God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, David is going to do a few more minutes. We know some people have got to get away. they've got trains and buses, etc. As you can see, Peter, a colleague of mine, on the camera tonight, we are desperately trying to make a documentary on the work of David Drew. What we are going to do, because we think tonight has been such a success, particularly I was thrilled with the last one, because having known Rachel and whatever, and known what he's just said about Rachel being absolutely spot on, we will be doing this at a later date in maybe 3 or 4 months' time, in the big room, with 3 or 4 cameras, with more time, with, how can I say, with better facilities. So for those of you who've got to get off tonight, don't worry about it. You can get in touch with myself or Georgina or anyone from the business at all, and we'll let you know when the next one. But we are definitely going to make a documentary about the work of David Drew. I was particularly interested in, as I say, in what he said about Rachel and also about Terry Griff. Terry Griff is a good friend of mine, and I know what's gone on in the recent past life of Terry, etc. So I happen to know that a lot of the things he's saying is quite true. But for those of you who've got to get away, we do understand. But what I would ask you to do, if you've got to go, could you do me a favour? And I don't mean to be, honestly, disrespectful. If you could go in the next 10 or 15 minutes, because once David starts, I would like the doors shut. But for those who can stay, I would love you to stay, because he will be getting back on the stage in a few minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, my apologies, ladies and gentlemen, because as far as I knew on the way here tonight, Ricky had asked me if I would get up and do half an hour. I didn't realise in Liverpool time's different. But if you want to lock up, leave me the keys. I'm happy to carry on as long as you want to listen to me. And I will not be offended if anyone needs to go, or you walk out, or you get bored. But I would love to carry on a little bit longer and do a little bit more. But before I go to the psychometry again, I want to speak to the lady in, is it leather? Forgive me for pointing at you. Yes. Because I look at the aura around you, and I see this beautiful leaf green and blue. And when I see an aura like that, sometimes I'm in a theatre with 1,000 people, and I always look around to see if I've got any friends in the audience. By friends, I don't mean people that know me, but people that understand the workings of spirit. And you are such a lady. You could be, and this may surprise you, very, very psychic yourself. You could also do healing to other people. And a number of people have asked me tonight about healing. I'll talk about that later. But I just want to say to you, you can leave here tonight, forget me, and forget everything I've said. But I want you, if you will, to remember that you are very, very spiritual. You are also a healer. And what did my mother used to say? The proof of the pudding is in the eating. If someone says, I have got a bad headache, put your hand on the head. It will go away. You can do it, and I want you to do it. I don't want to sound angry, but I get so frustrated when I see someone who is as spiritual as yourself, and you are not using the gifts you've got, and you could do. You could be of so much help to so many people. I want you to do it. I know that you will not, perhaps, you may think, what the hell is he on about? I'm spiritual, I'm a healer. But believe me, I know what I'm talking about. I look at that beautiful, shiny aura around you, and I know you can help a lot of people. And I know you have a great understanding of the workings of spirit. And I want you to do more. I'll say no more. I'll leave it with you. You are being helped from spirit. And there is a gentleman standing at the back of you who suffered what I can only describe as a massive heart attack. He is very closely connected with you. He wants to help you. And I've got this awful pain here, so I know how he suffered. I pick up the condition. You are being helped enormously by spirit. You cannot go wrong. Other people may say you're a very lucky person, everything seems to go well for you. Spirits are helping you. But in return, you must help spirits. And they have got work intended for you. You've got God-given gifts. Please use them. I've got number 44, and I don't know what it is. But what does that matter? I think it's a bracelet. But it's number 44. And please just give me a minute. Before I left the house this evening, do you all understand the way I speak when I'm doing this? It's not me, it's the person that owns this. Before I left the house this evening, I spilt something, I think. At least I left the place looking a mess. And I thought, oh, I'd better clean that up. No, I haven't got time. I have to go. But that's the story of your life. There isn't enough hours in a day. When you get home this evening, you will probably look at it and say, well, I'll clean up in the morning. Sounds a bit like my wife. No, it's not my wife's. You will always be short of time because you have so much to do. Pace yourself. Stop panicking. Stop worrying. And you can be a worrier. You can be worrying about all the problems in the world. All the problems in the world do not rest on your shoulders. Sort yourself out. I want to say get your act together. I'm looking at radio or radio, not television, radio. I don't know whether you're connected with radio or you would like to work on radio, but I've got a microphone in front of me and the, what you call them, the head things on my ears. And I see you could possibly be doing this in the future, perhaps. I'm looking at children, and the problem is, I see two, well, the children are always a problem, aren't they? I see two children with you, but I'm confused. I don't know whether you have two children or you're going to have two children because I'm in a time warp here. But I do see two children with you, and I see at the moment there is a problem or concern with a nephew. Is it your sister's little boy? I'm not sure. But I've got a nephew, I think, with there's some worry with this little boy, and he is just a little boy. I've got a friend of mine at the moment who has just left, I was going to say just left the husband, but I don't know whether they're married or just living together, but someone has just left. There's been a parting of the ways here as I look at it, and I want to say, thank God for that. It's the best thing that ever happened. It may be disappointing, it may look upsetting, but believe me, it will turn out for the best. I'm looking at number 6. I'm sorry, I've got that wrong. It's number 16, I think. Could be a date, the 16th. That's very, very important. I will have the opportunity, before this year is out, to travel overseas to Europe somewhere, Spain, France. My geography is not very good, but it's over that bit of water. Whether you take it or not, I'm not so sure, but the opportunity will be there. You may well say, I haven't got time for a holiday, I've got too much to do. You're always saying you've got too much to do. You need to have a personal manager. You need to have someone to organise you, because hell, you can't organise yourself. Who does this belong to?
Is there any chance of doing any off the shoulder at all? Would it be possible? I'm not worried about the quality of the shot. When he actually comes to speak to people, would it be at all possible?
I hope you will forgive me. Hell, I don't. Of course I do. I understand. I hate working with someone peering down the lens at me. It is off-putting, but I have to do it. I've got in my hand number 22, Again, I'm not sure what it is, a cigarette lighter or a lipstick or something. But I've got number 22 in my hand. And probably, unless we have more time, this will be the last one I do. Whilst I'm doing this, if anyone's got any questions they'd like to put to me, that's what I'm here for. If I can't answer you, I say, I'm sorry, I don't know. If I can give an answer, it will be an honest answer, even if you do not like the answer. So think about that. But number 22, I feel I could burst into a fit of the giggles. You know how you get this feeling? I can't control myself. This is hilarious. This is my whole outlook on life. This is funny. I enjoy myself. I enjoy life. People don't always understand me. But as people don't always understand me, I understand myself perfectly. And if I don't care less. This is the feeling of this person. I feel I've got a lady here, maybe with two young brothers, or two young people, I don't know. Because I've got two little ones looking up at me and saying, what on earth's the matter with you? But this is what will always be, this is what will always happen. People will look at you and say, what on earth are you doing now? I've got the initial J. I don't know if that's the owner or connected with it, but I have the initial J very clearly here. And I'm also now looking at mountains. I recognise it is Wales. I don't know whether you are planning to go there or whether you have this affinity with the mountains in Wales. If you want to go, come with me. I don't know who it is first before I say that. I feel that I want to get away from people. I feel I am more happy with nature. I feel that I like across anyone that was alone. He would sort of do anything ridiculous, perhaps, to cheer people up. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Okay, Jim's with you. That deserves a round of applause. Sorry, what was the question? Oh, that was it? I'm sorry, that was the question.
I'm just going to ask you to, can you see Jim around me and you just, like,
I've got him.
genuine.
All right. Sorry, we missed the question. I answered while I was waiting, but that was the question. I can't do it again. You'll miss that forever. Has anybody else got a question?
Yeah, David. Is it true in your belief that when a spirit is actually born into this earth, it's a sadness up there, but when there's a death, there's a celebration?
Yes. The question was, is it in my belief that when a baby is born, they mourn in spirit and celebrate here, and at a passing here, we mourn and they celebrate in spirit? I just didn't like the first sentence, is it my belief? I do not have beliefs. I have spiritual truths. You see, most Christian religions have belief in an afterlife. I don't have a belief. I know it's there. If I say to you, there's a lovely country called Norway, there's forests, fjords, you'd love it. You may well believe me. If I took you there and you lived there for a while, then you wouldn't have a belief in Norway. You'd know it was there. In spirit, I do not have a belief. I know it's there. I've been there. I've lived there. And I've come back here today to tell you all about it. When a baby is born, there is a sadness in spirit. They're losing someone. When there is a death, we mourn, but they celebrate in spirit. They're passing over. And when I pass over, if anyone takes me in a black urn and wears black and looks sad, I will be most upset, because I want people to wear gay colours, to have a party, and I might even leave some money for a drink for them. I was supposed to speak to that young lady there, because she has been trying to put a question to me. I can see the light bulb above your head sparking. I don't know your name, I'm sorry, I'm pointing to you. Jane, did you say?
Jenny.
Jane.
Jenny.
Jane, I know. You speak to me, Jenny.
What happens to you when you die?
What happens when you die? Well, as a rule, when you die, you go. But apart from that, we are all made up of a body and a spirit. This body that you see before you, for what it's worth, is just what I call the vehicle that you need whilst you're here on earth. When you pass over to spirit, you no longer need this physical body. It is your real true self that will live on, your spirit. That's always been and that always will be. You know, when you get a deep sea diver who goes down into the depths of the ocean, he needs to wear a suit to survive. That's just how we are. We've come down to the earth. We need to wear this suit to survive. When our time's up, they pull on the cord, don't they? And up the deep sea diver goes. When our time is up, they will tug on the cord, and up we will go to spirit. And then we can get out of this heavy, awful suit. People make too much emphasis on appearance. Oh, look at her, she's fat. Look at him, he's ugly. The outer appearance matters not. When I look at a person, I look at the real person. I look at the spirit of a person. That is the real you, not this body you are now wearing. This body and spirit body are joined by what is called the silver cord. Some of you may have heard this expression before, the silver cord. When that is broken, you're dead. Some people, is it Michael Jackson, has this belief that he's going to die and be frozen in this big thing, you see, freezes the body. And then in years to come, they'll find a cure, defrost the body, cure him, he can live again. What utter nonsense. When you're dead, you're dead. There is no way, once that silver cord has been broken, that you will live an earthly life again. I was called to Bodelwyddan Hospital. Can you all say that? Bodelwyddan Hospital. It's in North Wales. And the mother phoned me up, would I go and see her son? He'd been in a horrific motorbike accident. He was only 19. And he'd been for weeks on a life support machine. And the doctors had said, it's no good, we must switch it off. Now, of course, I understand the trauma, the pain, the suffering that mother is going through. This is her son. But when I went along to the hospital and saw him, I saw what I could only call a carcass. Okay, the lungs were going in and out, the heart was beating, the body was still warm. It's hard to say to that mother, this young boy, he's gone. But he was, because the spirit had left the body, the silver cord had been broken. There is no possible way he could live a life on earth. He'd gone. And I said to the mother this, and the machine was turned off. Believe me, just because I do this work, I get upset. I get tearful. I get choked when someone passes to spirit. I hate it. I want everyone to live here forever. But I am happy in the knowledge that they are moving on to a far happier place. And that boy had done that too. Yes, please.
I've been told that when you die, you become a spirit and you guide other people, and that everybody has a spirit guide.
Right.
And I'd like to know whether you can have an evil guide or a good guide.
The lady says that, well, this young lady, I don't know your name, sorry. Linda says that when you, I've got this right, when you pass to spirit, you will meet up with your spirit guide. Let me talk a little bit about spirit guides. We, all of us, have a spirit guide. Everyone in this room, look over your shoulder. Can't you see him or her? You have a spirit guide. Now, some religions, maybe Catholic or others, will say a guardian angel. I don't mind what you call them. You have a spirit guide. They are with you from the day you are born until the day you die. No, you cannot have an evil spirit guide. A spirit guide is from the highest spirit planes. They have progressed, they have developed. They are very, very spiritual. And they voluntarily spend a lifetime with you to try and direct you onto the correct pathway. Now, the answer is not complete without me saying that there are, in this world of ours, and you don't need me to tell you, evil people, misguided people, people of low intelligence, call them what you will. And you know, they too pass over to spirit. They do not go to heaven. Everyone is the same person when you pass over as you are now. And if you are evil or misguided or not very spiritual when you pass over, you will be exactly the same. And you may choose not to learn, not to develop. You may be quite happy the way you are. And if you open yourselves to spirit, they can attach themselves to you. They can give you an evil influence. They can put thoughts and ideas into your head that are not at all spiritual. You remember throughout history, throughout biblical times, the apostles casting out evil spirits, Jesus himself casting out evil spirits, in the Old Testament casting out evil spirits. Call them what you will, but they are there. There is an evil influence in spirit, just as there is a good influence. But that's not your spirit guide. Your spirit guide is good. Your spirit guide will help you.
Does the spirit guide in reincarnation, if you believe in reincarnation, come with you again in a different life? If you believe in reincarnation.
Yes, reincarnation is a very real truth. To speak firstly about reincarnation, let me just say that we are here on the earth, having this life, what for? To learn, to develop, to understand, to progress. We have many lessons to learn. Life on earth is like a day at school. We have many lessons to learn, and then the bell goes, we go home. But you cannot possibly learn all your lessons in one lifetime. So it is, you have many, many lives on earth. Your spirit guide, let me just talk personally about my own spirit guide. A couple of 1,000 years ago, we were both together on the earth. Since then, he's had a life on earth, and I've been in spirit looking over him. And now I'm on earth, and he's in spirit looking over me. So we change places. And that can happen. But some people say, do you think my grandfather could be my spirit guide? And the answer is no, that cannot be possible. You have to have spent a long, long time in spirit to have progressed to the high spirit planes to be a spirit guide. Someone put the hand up over there. Was it Diane?
When you say people have died and that's it, then like code is broken. What about these people that have died on an operating table or something?
Oh, right.
And then the doctor's
Yeah.
brought them back to life again?
I understand your question. I understand your question, I think. But before this guy goes to the loo, who is Tommy? Does he know? Do you know who Tommy is?
Me?
Oh, you're Tommy?
No, do I know Tommy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you Tommy?
No.
No. Do you know Tommy?
Yeah, no.
In spirit, I'm talking.
Not really, no. I couldn't think so, I know.
Well, while you're in the loo, standing there with nothing else to do, will you think who Tommy is? Because he's here. The lady asked... What the hell did the lady ask? When you have heard of experiences of people who have been on the operating table and they have died, sometimes you hear they have floated out of their body and they've looked down upon themselves and then they have been brought back to life. Sometimes during this time they have had wonderful experiences. You may have heard of them going down the tunnel towards the light and they feel peaceful, they feel happy, and they have at times been told you must return. You've got work to do, you've got a family to look after, or whatever. And they say they died. Scientifically, medically speaking, they had died. Because scientifically, medically speaking, when the heart stops, you're dead. But dying is a longer process than that. I mentioned earlier about this silver cord. And we, all of us, do what is called astral travelling, usually in our sleep state. When you go to sleep, your spirit doesn't sleep. That can leave the body and travel, maybe to the spirit world. You may have woken up of a morning and said, I dreamt last night I was talking to my grandmother who died years ago. That's not a dream. You were with your grandmother. You had travelled to visit her. Now on the operating table, your spirit will leave the body, but still joined by this silver cord. And then they said the heart stopped beating, we've resurrected it, and you come back into the body. But that is because that silver cord had not broken. Once that silver cord has broken, you will not come back to on the operating table. But many people have these experiences of looking at themselves, and that is because the spirit has left the body and is looking at the body. Yes, please.
Can I just ask, on that subject, I had an operation where it was quite normal, there was no problems, but there was somebody who was actually in the hospital who I was going to go and visit, and I didn't manage to get there because I wasn't well enough. But when somebody else went in to see them, they said, oh, Lorraine's coming to see you, and they said, she's been this morning. And that was the time when I was actually in the operating theatre. But he'd woken up in bed and said I was sitting in the chair talking to him.
Right. I don't know whether you all heard that, now I'm not about to repeat it. But what it was that Lorraine, was having an operation. Whilst she was on the operating table, she had intended to go and visit someone else in hospital, but because she was too poorly, she couldn't attend. And they said, but Lorraine did visit me. And it was at the time you were undergoing the operation. Well, of course, like I've just said, undergoing the operation, your spirit, the real you, will leave the body and travel. And travel to visit this other guy in his ward, on his hospital bed, and he had woken up and saw you. And I have this problem sometimes, and it confuses a lot of people. When I say, I see spirits, that does not necessarily mean they're dead, if I could use that expression. Because in your sleep states, if your spirit leaves and comes to visit me, I will say, here is Lorraine. And people say, oh my God, is she dead? But not necessarily so, because your spirit can travel. And I have seen the spirits of a number of people, not when they've passed over, but in their sleep states or during operations. And then you return to your body and woke up.
Apparently I told him, oh, I've got to go for about 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, there's a number of hands going up now, and I'm tired.
David, with all due respect, I think you've worked tremendously well.
Can I ask one question about
hang on. I would prefer this if you just answered one more question. Had a drink at the bar, because I know a lot of people would like to come up and have a quick word individually. I will be there to rescue you, because honestly, he's travelled a long way, and can I just, I know I'm going to repeat myself, this man has never, ever, ever shared me a penny in his life. That's why what I'm going to be giving him tonight won't cover the petrol money that this man has done. So I don't want him to work. You know, if he was an entertainer, if he was one of my artists, one of my the people we represent on TV or clubs, I wouldn't have allowed him to work as long as he's worked.
Anyway, well, you said you were going to talk about... I would like to know how the process works. My wife and myself, we have a boy and a girl. My son was declared at 2 years old to have a hole in the heart. And I'm fortunate to have a cousin who's a healer. He sat him on his knee and put his hand on his heart. And when we went back to the hospital, that we'd been there for 3 years under Professor Hendrixy, there was another professor there, and he said, where's this so-called hole in the heart? And he had to phone the other professor up to verify that he had a hole in the heart. Now, I'd like to know why that went. All he did was sat him on his knee and...
Spiritual healing, which I could talk a lot about because I do, I find fascinating. But we must never ever forget that the healing power comes from God. I say that because a lot of people, and I have been healing now for over 20 years, say to me, thank you very much. They phone me up, they write to me, and I love to take the credit. But I have to say, I do not heal anyone. God does. The spiritual healing power that comes from God is administered through his angels to the doctors in the spirit world, through me to the patients. As you see, it's a long chain of events, and I am just a link in the chain. People tell me when I put my hands on them that they feel a heat, they feel a vibration. I don't feel it myself. And so it is that there is no such thing as an incurable illness or disease. Only illnesses and diseases that the medical profession has not yet found an answer for. People phone me up and say, can you cure this? Can you cure that? And my answer is always the same. Come along. What have you got to lose? I promise you I will not make you any worse. Most people feel some benefit, at the very least, and at best, a complete and long-lasting cure. I have come to the world not just to speak to people, but to heal people, because it is not God's will for anyone to be sick. It is not God's will for anyone to be ill. Where there is illness, there is an imbalance in nature. And my job is simplicity itself, to correct that imbalance. Now, if you ask me the ins and outs and wherefores and how it works, I don't know. I don't know when I step on an aeroplane how that takes me to America. I don't know when I breathe that there is so much oxygen and nitrogen and all the rest of it in the air. I just know I breathe. I just know that I have never ever turned anyone away who has come for healing. And if I can help someone to receive that healing power, it makes my work worthwhile. Just before I finish, I have been looking at, I'm sorry I don't know your name. Lynn, the girl in black and all sorts, and you see spirits.
Yeah.
Of that I have no doubt. You are open to spirits. And like I said to a lady earlier, I wish you would do so much more. And like I say to everyone here tonight, we are only renting our space on God's earth. The way we pay our rent is in our contributions to other people. Please contribute. Because they say they will get their just
Just write down the terrible feeling.
You've got to learn to channel these feelings into the right direction constructively, because you're picking up from spirit, talking to you, they're making you aware, and you should try and learn to use it. Sorry, I can't.
I've just got to see what's going on.
know someone called Terry or Teddy? Did you just speak to me?
Yes.
Do you know someone called Terry?
Yes. Very well, yeah.
I just heard the name being called, I wasn't sure because I'm in a crowd now, so I'm difficult. But I just heard the name Terry being called very, very loud.
Yeah.
And also I've got a lady in spirit with you. She's a lovely little lady, she's only this big.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at it. She's got up to your shoulders, a bit bigger. She had dark but going grey hair. She wore glasses, very thin in her face. She wore an apron or a hoodie, the old-fashioned sort of thing. She was very fond of baking, cooking, and she's trying to cheer you up because she's really helping you. She said it's not as bad as it looks, and never mind what people say. You know what you're doing. I think you're going to surprise a few people. You're certainly going to upset one or two people, but I want to say that's going to be done because she's helping you. I don't think she's only a little lady, but hell, is she determined? You can't go far wrong with her help.
The reason we've come tonight is to say we buried my husband, these are my daughters. Just getting told everything you said was true.
You know anything about
you said
March? What are we now? April?
Yeah.
March. I've got March.
Yeah, my son
No. 21st. I think to say yes, but I've got a passing in March.
Yeah, he died.
I've got a gentleman. He wasn't, when I say very old, he wasn't young. Maybe 50s, I'm not very good at ages.
Yeah, that's
50s,
right,
I would say. And he wasn't well for a while, but he wasn't ill, if you know what I mean. He wasn't laid up. People, in fact, didn't know he wasn't well, and he suffered quietly. But he went like that.
Took a stroke like that.
Just like that, and he gone. He's here with you, and he says, Mark, and something just gone, right? Let me get this right. I don't think it was March just gone, it was last March.
12 months March, yeah.
That's when he was.
Yeah.
He's with you. And he's talking about March just gone.
Son's birthday, he died.
Well, he was there.
That's right, yeah.
He wants to say I was there last month.
Celebration of his only son's birthday.
Have you got a watch belonging to him?
I'll give you it's not this.
Have you got a watch as well?
Yeah.
Because he mentions a watch that he left behind. Someone else has got it over there. Now I think you'll find it's not working at the minute, but it could be made to work. It's not working because it says electric watch. He didn't leave it for who's got it necessarily. He wanted to reach out. But even so, it's okay where it is. But at the minute, it's on top of a set of drawers, not working. It's in a drawer, not working. The guy who's got the watch is not wearing it today because it stopped. But it could be made to go again.
Is he at peace?
He's his whole self, let me say that. I'm sorry.
You were standing there tonight and you said about your mother not being seeing her since 79. And yes, as you looked and before you repeated it, your mother came in you.
Oh, right, that's it.
Your mother's colouring is your colouring.
Other mediums have said to me, I saw your mother with you.
And I
And I've said that lately. But I never see it.
she gives you this colour.
Oh, that's good.
You've got it, and you were there tonight, and she's taking hold of this service, but you must not overwork yourself
know, that's the
by
trouble
this
at the minute.
verbal, because tomorrow you're like a wet rat.
Oh, I know
I've
that.
done it, and I know.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, God bless you.
Thank you ever so much.
Can you tell me anything
Thank you.
about me? I've had to do with a problem myself.
You've had a problem getting through to someone on the telephone. Today?
Yeah.
There's been a mix-up something with the telephone, I don't know. Sorry, what was you saying to me? I'm awful at it. Well, talk to me. Is your name Rachel?
No, my name's Donna.
Who's Rachel? Are you Rachel? No, Rachel. Sorry, go on.
I'm Donna.
Yeah.
Just so you know that I I've lost my father, I've got to
You're not having much luck, really, are you?
No, that's terrible. Look, the whole family. 2 daughters and myself. That's why we've come to you.
I look at the aura around you, and I'm going to be honest. I'll say I'm not happy. Apart from nothing going right for you, nothing has gone right for you, and I can't see anything going right for you. I would like to spend time with you. Right
saying now, standing here in a crowd, I could not help you like I could if I saw you on your own. If you speak to someone, get my phone number. I want to come and talk to you. I want to help you. Because if I don't, nothing's going well for you. You are in a vacuum, you're in a tunnel, you're in the dark. And, sorry?
You said you were coming over for a drink.
I'm coming now. Don't go before I give you my phone number, because I want to speak to you. And all I can say is, it sounds like I've given you dreadful names, but I'm honest. I will help you if I can.
Thanks very much, love.
Maureen, anybody? Can you just give... What is she?
Johnny.
I'll give it to you anyway.
So can you just give me
Go on, you're all right. Maureen will give you my home phone number, and I will see you when I've got time on my own. Okay.
I'm sorry, love.
It's okay.
All right.
I'm here to help people.
Yeah, I wish... God bless you, love.
What am I here for?
My mum died 2 years ago. And that's why I came to myself after
No. It's no good me saying yes. I've worked so much now I can't see anything. I'm going dizzy. I hope to come back again soon. Ricky has asked me if I'll come back in a month or so, and then I'll be refreshed and ready to go. But right now, I wouldn't do you justice if I tried to get anything with you. But don't worry, rest assured she's happy where she is. And when she can, and I'm able to, I'll put you in touch with her. You can talk to her. She'll talk to you.
Dave,
I'm sorry.
You must forgive me, I must be back in.